everyone, Sanjae Uchiha here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having an awesome day. I know the Attack on Titan madness over the weekend was... the effects of that are still... it's still running. But in the middle of all that, you know, this week's reaction discussion video, I bumped into this video by Kotaku, which, you know, apparently was published last month, February 10th. And of course, it deals with Yu Yu Hakusho. And for those of you who may have spoken to me before in terms of my quote-unquote top five, well, yeah, top five anime, even though I usually promote that I don't really have a top five, but if I were to like make it official, Yu Yu Hakusho would have to be in that list. Honestly, to me, Yu Yu Hakusho is a timeless series. Like it just ages like fine wine. Yusuke Urameshi. Sorry, my Kuwabara impression is not the best, but just work with me. So yeah, I wanted to see what Justin Cook, who's the English dub voice actor for Yusuke, you know, from Funimation, and I wanted to see what this video is all about. Yu Yu Hakusho's Justin Cook and why the anime series still resonates 30 years later. If I were to like just say my piece before even getting into the discussions and reaction to this, like I don't have much experience with the Japanese version, but to be honest, I think the English dub is just amazing. It's just timeless. And I think when it comes on to the cast of characters, even though there's a decent amount, it feels self-contained enough that you can really connect and resonate with the characters. There's a lot of focus on the characters. Every character really gets a decent time in the sun. They get their own spotlight, at least in terms of like the main four, like, you know, your Yusuke, your Kuwabara, your Hiei, your Kurama. They get more than enough time in the sun, and things just feel really balanced, and the characters can feel really relatable at the end of the day. It's just, in terms of Togashi and how he really wrote the series, it just feels like there's a lot of depth and passion there when it comes on to the characters and their interactions. And that combined with the English dub, and Smile Bomb, that intro, listen to me. Don't make me start. So, yeah. But let's see what Justin has to say here, and we'll comment and discuss as we go along. So, yeah.
So you've had like a long storied career, and obviously in the voice acting industry. So and especially when it comes to Yu Yu Hakusho and how popular that is amongst like the anime community. So I wanted to ask you if you can walk me through what it was like when you first auditioned for Yu Yu Hakusho as Yusuke.
Absolutely. We were actually auditioning, you know, actors for the whole show, right? And you know, skating through trying to figure out who was going to be voicing who, listening to all the different auditions, really kind of had it figured out for most of the characters. But Yusuke was an absolute, you know, mystery. We had no idea who was going to end up kind of doing this voice, and we had some contenders, and it was the producer at the time who asked if I would hop into the booth and give it a shot. And so I did, and then that kind of ousted me from the casting process, right? So now I'm kind of out working on, you know, a different job or whatever it was, you know, responsibility I was managing at that particular time.
You know, that's what it's like, man. It's like, dog, we don't know who if cast as Yusuke, you know? We don't know. Yo, Justin! Y'all can try this, dog. You see me? I mean, just imagine it going like that. I mean, obviously it did, but I mean, just exaggerated on my part.
Waiting kind of for the answer to come back. And it was towards the end of the day that the producer rolled back in and let me know that they had decided to go with me. And so I kind of tried to act real nonchalant and cool and appreciate it and say thank you. By the time I got home, though, I was running around the block nearly 3 times. I was so excited about this. So it was just an absolute incredible opportunity to kind of, I guess to some degree, feel like it landed in my lap. It was probably the next day that the stress of, gee, I hope it's good, started to occur to me.
For sure. I think it's safe to say you nailed it.
May I have my ball, please?
Listen, kid, that's dangerous. There are cars going by that will splatter you into the pavement.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask you, when it came to your audition for it, what did you do to try to sort of like bring your performance as Yusuke to the forefront? Was there like any like specific cues or anything that like kind of informed how you approached performing the character?
I had watched the whole series ahead of time,
nice.
Right, to associate myself with the show.
I like that. You know, persons like our voice actors that go ahead and actually watch the show they kind of get the idea of how to kind of slip themselves into the role for the most part, you know, because I don't want to say false expectations, but maybe sometimes, obviously I'm not a voice actor, I don't know, but sometimes maybe I think persons who probably get into the voice acting role, they might have these false perceptions of how the character is, maybe, just maybe. And, you know, probably those expectations are kind of shattered by, you know, kind of watching the show beforehand, getting an idea of how the characters are, etc., etc. And it makes me kind of wonder, like for Justin's case here, like how would he approach the whole process, his whole performance, you know, if he had not really watched the show like beforehand. So that's just me.
To you know, be able to have, you know, intellect in regards to casting it, knowing, you know, who these characters were, knowing who was going to be coming in the show. I'd say the biggest mystery that revealed itself from having watched it beforehand was discovering that in episode 111, it's revealed that the narrator for the entire series is actually a character that has also been throughout the entire series. So that was good to have learned. Otherwise, that could have been a mistake.
Not even the supposedly wise Koenma could know that.
Right.
I won't give you the narrator job if you annoy me.
I think it was watching everything, and I kind of had started figuring out this character of Yusuke. You know, what made him tick, what were his motivations, you know, the way that he monitored and maintained his relationships with different individuals. And so, you know, kind of getting my head around it from the perspective of voice directing it, I think probably had a great deal to do with at least how my approach to the character in the audition most likely came up. Outside of that, it was just using the animation to kind of guide me to, you know, to the way Yusuke is.
The famous spirit gun.
That was a warning shot for the human inside you. Next time I won't miss.
Anime communities have had a lot of protagonists come and go over the years, but Yusuke kind of still remains a household name among fans who kind of grew up with the Toonami stuff.
Yes, sir, the original one bird on himself, Yusuke Urameshi.
Even there's like fan created stuff like RDC World who will like make Yusuke as like their main guy and part of like the crew when there's like Ichigo or there's like Luffy or there's like Goku and stuff. So
Goku is always starting shit. Like, I really think he has a problem. He always trying to fight. Like, we know you're the strongest in Anime House. So what?
I want to ask you, why do you think Yu Yu Hakusho's popularity has remained so steadfast over the last 30 years?
Nah, the title drop, the video title.
A unique show. You know, it didn't overtell its story, right?
True.
It was 112 episodes and then out, right?
Well, you know, funny enough, it didn't overtell its story, but it's safe to say most persons who have followed up interviews where Togashi is concerned or even watched the show probably would say it was undertold, because the final art just feels like it was shortchanged, to say the least, honestly. So yeah.
So they, you know, no fight tended to go on for 8 episodes or something to that effect.
Yo, they are so wrong for this, dog. Like, massive. In my head, massive. Alright. Okay, maybe like a low blow shot at Dragon Ball Z, the original, the original Dragon Ball Z. And then the mother showed the Frieza fight. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
Frieza? What? I'd rather be a brainless beast than a heartless monster.
So it felt to me like it was a fast-moving story, and the characters are so relatable. Really, all of them, you know. And
what did I say?
I think there's just there is a very identifiable level of humanity with that show, and ultimately its message. And
I know it's funny he says that, because I think, apart from the amazing animation of Demon Slayer, right? The identifiableness, if I can put it that way. Alright, hold on, let me just kind of just backtrack. Yeah, that identifiable level of humanity. Let me just quote him properly here. I think that's what makes Demon Slayer work as well. Even though a lot of persons say, you know, the story isn't anything spectacular. It's alright, nothing revolutionary, and that combined with the amazing art and animation and directing in the anime. But outside of that, it's like I've always said, I think Demon Slayer's the core of why people vibe with it, apart from its straightforwardness, it's just that visceral, you probably can't put it into words, but you can, that emotional connection with the characters and their struggles going through the whole Demon Slayer world. So I think that's something that's shared with Demon Slayer as well,
with that show and ultimately its message. And I think that made it into the hearts of people.
True. Episode 1 was
Yu Yu
really
Hakusho also, as you know, is going to be
really
getting
strong.
its own live adaptation treatment with Netflix. So I wanted to ask you, are you planning on watching it at all?
Absolutely. I'm so excited that, again, something like Yu Yu Hakusho has kind of struck a chord in the hearts of the fans that are out there that they want this. I think that's great.
Last but not least, I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite line or scene from the show that has kind of like been the most fun for you to like reminisce about acting about?
That's so tough for me, right? Because like each scene, each moment, each character really, I loved working on this show. It meant so much to me at the time.
We need a Yu Yu Hakusho 2024, like Hunter x Hunter 2011. We need a Yu Yu Hakusho 2024. Just make it happen, please.
Being able to work on it and then just being able to have been a part of it, right? So it's hard for me to kind of pick. I like this, to cherry pick the character or a scene. I like this better than that. I could certainly, though, relay some pretty fun stories. Let's see, the Tagoro fight. We used to record in rather small recording booths called whisper rooms, and they're usually foam covered on the inside and whatnot. By the time I finished those 3 episodes, my knuckles had become so raw from having punched the inside of the booth so many times, just because of the level of energy and intensity of which we were trying to bring to that show. So that was pretty entertaining, a pretty youthful way to approach anything. I certainly wouldn't ask anyone to do that at all these days. So I think that's probably one of the things that Yu Yu Hakusho had going for it as well, was it had a lot of people who felt like we were trying to prove that we could do good dubs, that we could make a program. It didn't have to just be Dragon Ball Z, and and youth, a lot of energy.
Let's see who can take a bigger ass kicking.
Yes, sir. All right, so again, shout out to Kotaku and Justin Cook here when it comes on to, of course, why Yu Yu Hakusho still resonates in the anime community 30 years later. Like, again, as I said, as some of the points he said, he didn't really overtell its story. Well, as I kind of corrected, I think it undertold based on how the last arc kind of went. But it's just the relatability of the characters, how the cast isn't too big, so it's like a decent amount of the characters have more than enough time to shine. It feels very dynamic. As Justin, I might start using that to kind of describe certain scenes or how I feel about certain anime, like that identifiable level of humanity that persons can relate to. Because, looking at that statement and even looking back at episode 1 of the Yu Yu Hakusho, in terms of when, Yusuke thought like, yo, I'm better off dead, nobody really cared about me, and he didn't really know how his death would really impact the people and the relationships that he might have intentionally or unintentionally formed around him. And it was just the relatability of it. It just kind of shouts to persons from episode 1 that, yo, if at any point you really feel like the connections you have aren't really healthy, or your presence doesn't matter or anything like that, like it does. And I think that's what episode 1 really drove home for me. Honestly, it was very powerful, like emotionally speaking, very visceral, if I could say so myself. And overall, as I said, I don't really have much experience with the Japanese dub. I've seen 1 and 2 scenes just for comparison, but overall I'm a straight English dub viewer when it comes on to Yu Yu Hakusho, and the dub was just, they really put a lot of energy into it, as Justin said. I don't know in terms of the accuracy compared to say like the manga or the Japanese dub, because back in the day, like for example, Dragon Ball Z compared to in terms of its script and dialogue compared to the original manga, hence why Dragon Ball Kai became a thing, etc., etc. But honestly, the English dub is just timeless, I would say, and the performances were just amazing. This is definitely a show I think needs like a modern iteration of it, essentially a modern version of it, just to bring it back up to speed, get it back. Cause I think persons would really love Yu Yu Hakusho in the modern era. I know persons these days will say like, yo, I can't go back and watch it, the animation looks too old, etc., etc. But listen, if you do give it a chance, trust me, you will not be disappointed. It is just that show, honestly speaking, and it just works. It just works, honestly. No, it's not a perfect series. There are some points in time. There are some ways the plot was executed in certain spots I wanted just a bit more out of here and there. But overall, Yu Yu Hakusho, top tier. And it's I mean, people praise Hunter x Hunter, and this is the same guy that wrote Yu Yu Hakusho. So I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, it just works. It speaks for itself, honestly. But anyway, let me know what you guys thought about this whole reaction discussion. Of course, I want to know if you've watched Yu Yu Hakusho. What do you think? Why do you think it still works to this day? Why has it aged like fine wine for you? I really want to know. Let's start that discussion in the comment section. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. Your smile makes my heart explode.